We got a Monster Hunter Wilds trailer and it looks fantastic. The palicos be talking, the characters be looking attractive, and more so than anything else we have are official reveals of some new monsters, which means turning them into Pokemon. I'm only going to be doing the ones that got actual names on the website for now and from the Summer Games Festival trailer, but I have my eyes on you Sarcosuchus looking monster and Baby Poochy. Alright, let's start with what I deemed my favorite of the revealed Chatacabra. I love the Chatacabra, the weird big frog looking thing, and it had some super cool weapons to craft in game. So I have high hopes for the Chatacabra, which I'm gonna say looks even cooler. It's got sort of a horned toad viper looking thing going for it. It has such great body shape design. We obviously aren't given a massive amount of details here, so I'm kind of just going off what we see here, and hey, if we find out something about these monsters later on that really needs to change the design, I may update them. I wanted this big hulking frame to continue in the Pokemon and give it this sort of sassy, nonplussed look, which seemingly is a feature in a lot of frog Pokemon I've found. The monsters in World and Wilds both were a lot more detailed due to the graphic style, so I had to seriously tone down the amount of details in the design here, opting to show its tongue being a major part of the Pokemon, with sharp jagged barbs that you'd just get stuck on if it ever gave you the big lick. Typing was tough for this one, although the information on it states that it uses its sticky saliva to coat itself then attach objects to it. It didn't really give me very water type vibes, so I opted for rock type, imagining that not only is it quite jagged like a rock, but also maybe uses that goopy saliva to attach more and more rocks to its body. Chatacabra and Dalthydon both seem to be seriously chin and tooth maxing, that's for sure. Chaliva, the adhesive Pokemon, are rock type. A massive Pokemon only recently discovered in the Forbidden Lands. Aggressive and territorial, catching a Chaliva has been found to be obscenely difficult. Chaliva have large hulking frames littered with sharp spiky scales that help them move easily through rocky terrain. Even if one gets chipped, it quickly grows back. Their jagged maw hides their long and strange tongue. Their saliva combined with the barbed nature of their tongues creates a deadly combo. The saliva is very sticky and Chaliva will use this to coat themselves, allowing stones and other objects to be stuck to the Pokemon. Chaliva have the ability Sticky Hold and Rough Skin.
Incredible! I've never heard of a Ceratonoth herd this big before.
One of them's got big spikes on its back.
Let's do our newest fodder mons, herbivorous monsters, the Ceratonoth. For this one I opted to make it a gender evolution, like an inverse to land it to Salazzle. We see these monsters looking very pangolin-like with large scale skirtings around their body, but still retaining that lizard-like face, which is incredibly interesting. For the first form, I directly used Sandshrew for reference here for very obvious reasons. This would definitely be a very early game sort of ground type, not very strong, but just abundant, much like probably how the Ceratonoth will be in the actual game. I opted for ground type here as I wanted a bit more variety from going rock types for everything here, which is something I've noticed with many of the monsters from Wilds is that they have a very earthy feel to them for this early part. It intrigues me then to see what kind of monsters and biomes we'll see later on. Hoping for something as absolutely dazzling as the Coral Highlands. Oh, the first time you get there, I'll never forget that. Ceratonoth, the herbivore Pokemon, a ground type. Found in the plains of the Forbidden Lands, Ceratonoth live in massive packs, where they forage for whatever plants they can find, sometimes mistakenly drawing the ire of grass types. They snuffle around on the ground, usually quite unaware of their surroundings, till it is too late. Doshaguma will greedily chomp down on a Ceratonoth without the rest of the pack even noticing. Once they do, they scatter in every direction with no plan other than run. Only the males of the pack evolve through mysterious minerals found around the plains. Ceratonoth have the abilities Cud Chew and Battle Armor. So the evolution method for this one would be essentially defeating a bunch of Ceratonoth and crafting an item called the Precipice Blade, obviously based on Groudon's signature move, and using it on a male Ceratonoth. Its evolution now plays off the other form of Ceratonoth we saw in the trailer, these ones with these large spines, or potentially even termite heels. I imagine them probably capable of absorbing the lightning that occurs on the plains because of this big railgun dragon. I didn't go electric typing though here, and is one situation where I thought it would be good to go a little off the books here and make it a ground fire type and include some magma sitting between each of the spines, making it look like some kind of weird lava-filled monster where the spines are actually shooting out from the back of Sarah's spine. It's a weird thing going from referencing Sandshrew straight to referencing Mega Camerupt for it, but it just works so well. I love the texture of the spines and the arm panels on the Ceratonoth, almost like a pine cone. Well, I guess pangolin, but hey, pangolins also aren't beating the pine cone allegations. I'm imagining that we're going to have a real fun time just absolutely destroying the spines on these Ceratonoths once the game comes out. Maybe Capcom should keep a count of the stats on that. Cerospine, the spine Pokemon, a ground and fire type. Evolves from a male Ceratone by using a crafted precipice blade on it. Lumbering slowly along its Cerospine, their large spines lining their back jut out from molten lava that now complements their body and helps regulate the herd's temperature. During stormy nights, Cerospine attract lightning away from the rest of the herd, completely unaffected by these strikes. Despite these adaptations to protect the herd, it still is quite slow and dull, and won't notice their young being snatched away. Older Cerospine will have less pronounced and jagged spines. Cerospine have the abilities Cudchew and Lightning Rod.
There's too many of them!
It's no secret that we now know the new names of the friendly monsters that accompany us in the Forbidden Lands. And it definitely isn't called a Palasaur. Fine, I'm keeping that for myself, Capcom, I gave you it. No, it's called a secret. Which, maybe I'm guessing because it's called the Forbidden Lands, these animals are a secret and the name's a pun on egret? I don't know. What I do know is that these monsters are adorable and I really hope that we get to actually customize our own. I mean, I don't see why we wouldn't be able to with the Palicos and Palamutes both being customizable. I'm gonna make a red and white one to go with the boys from Rise. Being able to bring two weapons along to these massive open spaces is interesting and makes me think we'll definitely be out in the world for a lot longer than we would on normal missions in the series. But that just makes choosing the weapons I want to use even harder. I'm normally a greatsword, hammer, and insect glaive user, so maybe I'll take a little dip into some ranged options. Anyway, the Pokemon itself is quite a direct translation of the design, a large chicken wyvern, and although it is a flying type, it can only glide. I think it would be mostly used for its ability to share its own held item with its allies. A bit like holding two weapons, really. Seikret, the Heron Hawk Pokemon, a flying type. An incredibly helpful ally for navigating the treacherous Forbidden Lands. Seikret are friendly Pokemon that have allied themselves with trainers to become great mounts and pack Pokemon. They can carry heavy packs and trainers across large distances thanks to their powerful legs. Not only that, but their feathers and body are built for gliding long distances from high places. Seikret has a new ability called Item Holster, where this Pokemon shares the effects of its items with adjacent allies, and Wind Rider. Alright, next let's do the Castodon like Dalthydon, and we'll round the video out with some other big monster reveals. This was so interesting, especially seeing as for the most part it was being mauled by the crocodile-like creature. Poor thing. But definitely another prey herbivore. But this one seems to be a bit more prepared for combat with that big plate on its head and horns. The Pokemon version of it I wanted to be this almost cute sort of cocky looking Pokemon that mixes a bit of Double with a little bit of Rampardos and some Go-Goat. The weird combo, I know, but I'd say it's almost like a chimeric looking Pokemon. I do wonder in game if with these large regions we'll see a lot more interactions between monsters. So far we've seen quite a lot of them, most of them being predation between different species. Even the Chatacabra wasn't safe from little fellas just swarming him. But I can't wait to become a wildlife researcher again for massive monsters like in Rise, looking at all the endemic life around as well. The typing for Dalthydash here was kinda hard. I thought maybe pure normal, call upon that sort of double-like design, but the head plate really made me think pure rock. And no steel, I don't want to step on Rampardos' weird looking toes. So I went with pure rock, but what do you think for the typing? Dalthydash, the skull Pokemon, a rock type. A herbivore found on the plains of the Forbidden Lands, forming herds and even intermingling with Ceratone. Dalthydash however have a faster dash and a very irate personality. It has a hardened plate of bone on their head that wraps around to horns. This is used for defense as well as fighting one another for mating displays. The plate is so solid that seeing one that is chipped is a worrying sight. Records have recounted of a Guraguma being stopped by a charging Dalthydon, and the two being locked in a struggle where neither would budge. Dalthydon have the abilities Reckless and Sheer Force. With the new trailer from Summer Games Fest out, they put my work out for me. I wasn't going to do every monster that they showed because then I'd be going into completely unknown territory with a railgun dragon, but we did get one named new monster, the confusing Balahara. This is the most cool alien design, like some kind of corkscrew dragon monster creature with the smallest baby eyes ever. So cool. To turn it into a Pokemon would be a harder challenge. I mean, how do we turn old Toothy Joe here into something cute and kind? Well, we sort of don't, I guess. I wanted to half keep it as a weird, horrifying, kind of giant sandworm gator thing, while giving it a little bit of a Clodsire treatment. The no-fort head-empty king over here. I wanted to keep the freeway split head as horrifying as it is, as well as the sort of signature drill shape it has, which is just a fantastic idea. One thing I love about Monster Hunter is that believability of their designs. I guess the fact that everything can be explained with their designs. The Twisty Mister seems to be able to blast either oil or tar out of its mouth, which I guess is another tactic for it hunting. Which is really interesting, and it means that our new buddy Balahara here can learn Tar Shot and just completely steal Colossal's thunder. I chose ground type here for this one. It just screams ground type, from the giant swirling sand traps it creates to burrowing through the ground, to it blasting tar out, and I don't want to make it rock ground. We just have enough of those already. Balahara, the tunneler Pokemon, are ground type. In the Forbidden Lands, sand vortexes can be a dangerous trap for both people and Pokemon to stumble into. Unlike the Trapinch line, who wait in the center, Balahara dig around the entirety of it, ready to strike and devour whatever it is caught within. They have a unique body with ridges that line it like a drill. As they move through the earth, they twist themselves, allowing Balahara to easily glide through even the toughest of dirt. Their tiny eyes barely work, but once underground they sense even the most minute of vibrations, using their entire body. Swarms of Balahara will leap out and attack. Balahara have the abilities Arena Trap and Sand Spit. And finally onto the Doshaguma. The moment I saw these big lads, I thought of the Gosharag, except some kind of weird, inbred bulldog-looking version of it. Nah, it's still pretty cool, and I enjoyed just how almost lion-like it feels, stalking the prey in these big packs. It definitely was the star of the first trailer, and we normally don't get monsters of this type, so hideous in a good way, like the Kizu. For the Pokemon, I wanted an almost Mabostiff mixed with Ursaluna look to it, but really play up the face being this bright red, squinty look to it, and it let me design some really interesting eyes that I think would be a bit like Simipour's in design, where it looks weird till you see it blink and then the whole black markings there kind of squished together and you now understand those are its horrid eyes. I do wonder why the Doshaguma looks the way it does. Are the bony head plates for mating displays? And are they sunlight sensitive due to the squinty eyes, preferring to go out during the stormy weather and nighttime? So many mysteries, and something I'm really hoping we get to research in the actual game as well. While our Pokemon version Guraguma isn't nearly as massive as that of its Monhun counterpart, I do like to think of it as being a rideable Pokemon in the game, maybe being much like Ursaluna and a good counterpart to the incredibly speedy Seikret, able to zip around and glide, while Guraguma just sinks to the ground and is gravity's best friend. Guraguma, the pack Pokemon, are dark type. A massive Pokemon only recently discovered in the Forbidden Lands, found to be a roaming pack Pokemon that seems to have an aversion to bright sunlight. During sandstorms and nights, Guraguma flock together, creating large packs of at least 3. They will then aggressively hunt any Pokemon they can catch. Their large maws easily devour most things. The caves of the Forbidden Lands are teeming with Guraguma during the days, and are incredibly unsafe to share it with them. Even captured Guraguma can be quite irate and prone to lashing out. Guraguma has a new ability called Pack Tactics, which increases the attack stat of this Pokemon. There are multiple of the same Pokemon on the battlefield. So how hyped are you for Monster Hunter Wilds? Comment your thought on the video and the game itself below, and don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the bell to never miss a video. Now I must wait here in silence within my crypt for another trailer, endlessly waiting, endlessly watching. And with that, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.